How you doing?
How are you? I
Thank
finally
you.
get to see you.
Yeah.
We're on the other side.
I know. This is for the, might talk your ear off. Really care.
Donna's a good talker.
I know, but now, you know, that's a great thing to say. That's why I'm like, I'm so excited.
I like it over there better. More room.
Chairs are much more comfortable over there. What are you saying?
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, they are.
Like crazy.
Quite a bit.
Well, you know what? You know what? I bought the Mexican arms. Mellow.
You ready?
Oh,
Oh, it's 7. It's 7 o'clock. I hereby call to order the Milburn CC School District 24 Board of Education Special Meeting. Madam Secretary, will you call the roll, please?
John Lorenzen,
Here.
Brendan Murphy.
Here.
Peter Petrini.
Here.
Jillian Phelps.
Here.
John Ruggles.
Here.
Fred Sketchum.
Here.
And Lisa Booster.
Here.
Rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Why don't we don't have a public comments?
Bitcoin went up.
No?
Like 5G.
Okay. All right, we have an action item, approve the posting of the truth and taxation notice.
So we presented the levy at the last meeting, and because of timing, we have to prove the posting of the truth and taxation notice, because we are in fact balloon levying, and that puts us over the 5% cap for publishing the truth and taxation notice. And because of the timing, we can't wait until the next meeting, which is only a week away, but next week we hit our deadline of 30 days between the board approving the posting, the notice in the newspaper, and then the hearing that will have to take place at our December meeting. So that's why we have to make the special meeting, just for this one item.
So,
I move to approve the posting of the truth and taxation notice. Second.
motion's been made and seconded. Madam Secretary, will you call the roll, please?
John Lorenzen,
Yes.
Brendan Murphy.
Yes.
Peter Petrini.
Yes.
Jillian Phelps.
Yes.
John Ruggles.
Yes.
Fred Sketchum.
Yes.
And Lisa Booster.
Yes.
Motion passed.
I move to adjourn the special meeting. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, I hereby call to order the committee of the whole meeting. Madam Secretary, will you call the roll?
John Lorenzen,
Here.
Brendan Murphy.
Here.
Peter Petrini.
Here.
Jillian Phelps. Here. John Ruggles.
Here.
Fred Sketchum.
Here.
And Lisa Booster.
Here.
Madam Secretary, do we have any public comments?
We do not.
All right. Do we have any addition of information or discussion items?
The IASB delegate resolutions for the conference. Usually generally that's something that should be discussed beforehand, because the next one is, the conference is next weekend. Didn't know if that tells you through my emails today. But if we don't have copies of them to discuss, then just get that on there for the next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, anything else? All right,
Fred, do you know where we can find? I know where they sent out to all the members.
They came in my email.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but it was a large package that had more things than just the, I think, 10 items.
Yeah, it wasn't that many items this year.
6
They really
they're
pared down.
recommending and 4 they're recommending against, but we might not agree as a board with their committee. So,
I will make sure to put that on the next agenda for discussion.
well, and then vote too, because it's next week.
Isn't that? It's coming fast.
board policies, information discussion, first reading.
So, go ahead there.
After you.
The only, no significant changes for this group. This is part of our 5-year rollover that we review them every 5 years. ISB does the service with our attorney firm and attorney firms across the state. And they review them, look at them, make sure that they align to other laws and policies that have been written. And so this is, all these policies are just updates, and they're very minor updates with language, or not language, references to other policies that have been updated as well, to be updated by the law. So if they wanted, it probably has 5 different references on policies, and therefore causes this spin of a bunch of them. That's why you've seen quite a few in the last 3 months. We're trying to keep up so that our board policy manual is fresh and up to date. The only one that I might, we may want to take a look at the wording would be the account 4-80 accounting and audits. In that policy, it has that we will present our audit. It is the responsibility of the superintendent to present the audit by October 15th for the previous fiscal year. On the last 10 years, I'd say, our audit's not done by October 15th. And we've had to file an extension. We're doing it legally, of course, and how we're supposed to do it, but in there it says it, the superintendent shall. But we could say shall unless our auditor needs to file an extension because they're not ready to present the audit. And that's pretty common right now. Auditors are understaffed and auditing has become more complicated, so they seem to be running more and more behind every year.
You say shall unless, and then is there a term on that unless or not? Not really.
You mean a date?
Or 30 days,
Wherever
whatever.
extension is
So it's just an open extension.
Extension needed by
Yep, and we have to keep filing. So that to keep up with the law, you have to keep filing extensions.
Extensions.
Usually at 30 to 60 days or they give me.
So that's indirectly implied then.
Yeah.
You only have 30 or 60 days with your,
Something.
so
I
it's
don't
not,
know
it's not
exactly,
open ended then.
It's not an open ended. Although I can tell you, I'll talk about that another tonight.
Two items I wanted to discuss on here. First one in 2:70, vacancies on the Board of Education. And again, if this was adopted 5 years ago and it's just been on the books without review, states that elective office of a school board member becomes vacant before the term's expiration when any of the following occurs: legal disability, asthma, blindness, cancer, what are some of the other ones? Diabetes, depression, autism, deafness, all of those are legal disabilities under the ADA. I propose that we add language saying a legal disability that prevents a board member from fulfilling their duties capably, or something along those lines. Because the way the language is now is that if one of us gets in a car crash and loses a leg and we're in a wheelchair, the policy states we're removed from office. So that's something that I think should be changed. The other one is in the vandalism one. It says that students or their parents or guardians should be responsible for paying for all damages. A student for vandalism or other acts that cause damage to school property. Other acts can be completely accidental. You know, they might be sliding in the chair, they could do something with no malice or intent to cause damage, but now then suddenly they're financially liable for it. So I would argue that that doesn't fall under vandalism, but the fact that it says vandalism or other student acts that cause damage, I think we should put that in so it's an intentional act of malice, not just, oh, I'm carrying a bowling ball for whatever and I drop it and I break the floor. I just want to see people who are not intending to do harm not be punished and treated fairly.
I agree with both. I saw what you had seen. as far as being, you know, if you have asthma, you're not on board anymore. I totally agree with that. I missed the other one. But yeah, I couldn't agree more.
And for a lot of these, if they're just updating with new policies and it's something that's been on the books for decades, who might not come under scrutiny before.
Can you scroll back down for a minute, Jason?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, Fred, what they're saying here, because that's a good question, and this has not changed. This has been on the books for a long time. I think it's a protection, but it is not worded that way.
I got a little confused by it too.
Because it
In
says
the
legal,
press policy, when it goes in a little more detail.
Mhm.
Interpreted consistently with the other law.
So there's a.
I can ask,
I mean, there's an adjudication
Right.
Indicated to be a person
clause in it.
under
It's
legal-
not just.
It's not,
Yeah.
oh, I have asthma, you're fired. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not
Under
that.
legal
Right. It's
probate.
still not very clear. I agree.
And like, because
Yeah.
these footnotes don't appear in our policy
Yep.
manuals,
correct,
so they won't.
although we do. Any policy. If there's a question, I do look at footnotes for interpretation because it does give some further legal background on it, but it's great. Good catch. I will ask about that.
So like,
That seems weird.
I kind of agree with you on the first one. The other one.
Yeah, can you pull the other one up? The vandalism one.
Vandalism.
well, and then, or. Oh,
Well, no, I mean. I understand what you're going at. But there's also. A thing where even if it's accidental, hey. You know, oops, I accidentally ripped off the. Rear view mirror of the bus. Well, we need to get that fixed still. That costs money to fix it.
Or two boys in the hall jacking around and
Yeah,
put a hole in something.
The
Yeah.
unintentional consequences.
yeah,
They're still liable. I mean, that's still because of what they did.
Yeah.
It's not vandalism.
if they're breaking another policy, that's one.
Yeah, I
thing. Like,
agree with
if they're,
that.
you know, if you're breaking a law, if you steal a car, but then you also run over a little old lady, you're still culpable for it, even though that wasn't your intent, you intended to steal the car. Or, but if they're carrying a school project and it breaks, if it falls and breaks a window through, you know, slipping on a banana peel, that was not intentional. They weren't doing
that would be the liability of the school because they didn't.
Well, but that's a,
Well, no, I get exactly what he's saying. Maybe we have something where some of this can be left up to the discretion of the principal or superintendent, because I know exactly where you're going with it. You could be doing something completely benign, unintentional, and you really don't want to make the student or the parents liable for that. And I think just again, just my opinion, different situations may warrant different actions. And that doesn't really allow for discretion.
yeah, the way it's written is, doesn't leave room for interpretation. It's just-
Would you add at the discretion of
Yeah.
the superintendent,
And then building administration. or
building
something like that.
administration or something like that? Because you know, they do screw around and it's not intentional and something does get broken.
Yeah,
Yeah, I could understand being held liable in that case.
Yeah.
Fighting, you know, they intended to fight, but they didn't intend to break the window, then still shouldn't have been fighting.
Yeah.
Napoleonic code, I guess, is what I'm going against here, just the strict letter of the law versus. That should be high behaviors.
What do you think, Jason?
I'm trying to think of situations where this would apply to. I can't think of anybody that we charged, that we would seek, if accidents happen, we. Charge, although, I'm thinking of iPads. But would that fall under vandalism? So this is a vandalism
That's
title.
Property, I would think.
Yeah, but the
Building
school's
property.
loaning the iPads to the kids, I mean,
Yeah,
Or books.
or
library-
books, like
Library books
I
that
mean.
are left out in the rain.
do they get charged for those?
Yep.
Yeah.
I would argue that a 6-year-old. Doesn't always remember, I don't always put my socks in the hamper. I'll admit that, and I trust a 6-year-old to. Not put a water glass on a book. When I myself don't always put my socks away, I have a hard time charging them for leaving glass of water.
Are you saying you're already kind of using your discretion?
I think vandalism is a specifically defined word
Yeah,
of intentional destruction and defacement of another person's property. So it's not necessarily an accident. They're carrying a bowling ball and they drop it and it knocks over in class or whatever. That's not vandalism. That's an accident. That's a completely separate thing. So vandalism would be specifically intentional destruction or defacement of property.
This is vandalism or other.
Yeah, so why would it say or
That's
other?
the- Yeah,
the things that are like rain on.
So if you could stick an intentional, other intentional student
But then that doesn't
or
deal
Or
with,
you could put in about discretion, about building administration
I
discretion.
would put in a building.
Yeah, so like have it say guardians for vandalism. And intentional acts that damage school property, period, other acts. To be determined by something like that, see what I'm saying?
Well, let me ask this question. If a student punches another student, and that student has to go to the hospital, have an X-ray or whatever. Who pays for that? The student's parents or the school?
But that's a separate issue from vandalism.
Yeah.
Like, that's a,
That,
That's what I'm getting, I don't know if this is only,
So,
that's criminal assault. That's not like, hey, they threw a punch and smashed through the glass case out front and it shattered and we have to replace it.
okay, so you're saying this is limited to property?
This is
damage?
limited to property.
No, I'm saying that we would have the same sort of, I would assume the same sort of policy, no? For,
behavior.
but yeah, behavior and vandalism as well.
yeah, this is specific property. Well, if someone's intentionally destroying something, yeah, they should pay for it and their parents are liable.
Well, that's vandalism.
So let me ask this one. Let me try to get it out into society because we're a microcosm of society. If you back it into your neighbor's mailbox and run it over, who fixes it?
You. You're on the hook.
My neighbor paid for it when his daughter ran mine over.
No, I mean, you're the person who backs it
Oh,
over,
okay.
pays for it, not you, the owner of the mailbox.
And it was an accident. So I think that's what this is.
Yeah.
Speaking to is, if you break something, even if it's an accident, you're kind of liable.
Yeah.
If you can't. I don't know, that's what I'm thinking through now,
So then I would,
even though I understand 6-year-old's different than 40-year-old, but
Different than a 16-year-old driving a car as well, who's
Right,
taken,
right.
got the license for it and all that.
you could stick intentional or negligent. I mean, that can kind of, under 7 isn't considered, you can't really be negligent. But maybe a middle schooler who's carrying a bowling ball and swinging it around and let's go and accidentally break something. Didn't mean to, but yes, you should have known better, so therefore we're gonna call your parents.
Would you do that now? If that were to happen?
Yeah.
You do, okay.
Right, so
when considering the analogy to driving, my counter argument would be that because school is compulsory and driving's a privilege, they have to be here where they don't
Yeah,
have to be driving.
they don't have to be breaking the rules either, because
Right.
you're not
Yeah.
necessarily gonna,
Yeah,
you know, if you're playing gym and you throw the ball and you break something, because you're playing dodgeball, that's not something that you want to bring the kids for.
Yeah, that's just part of it.
But if they took the ball out in the hall and then threw it down the hall, then
Yeah, or deliberately like scratching out words in a book or creating profanity in those books, that's when you'd be like,
we're leaving your book in the rain.
what if we did something like blah, 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 guardians for vandalism, period? Culpability of other student acts that cause damage to school property to be determined by school admin. Something like that.
I don't necessarily want to leave it up to school admin, because
That's what it's
what
up
if
to
the
now.
next admin comes around and he's not necessarily as fair-minded as the ones we have at the moment?
So up to Jason, superintendent.
Well, I mean,
I mean, at this point, like somebody's deciding that now already, right?
Yeah.
So,
Or do you intentionally leave it ambiguous so you have room?
right, right. Because that's happening now too. It's already
I-
being done now
right, I think it's.
because
fine.
of its ambiguity, so leave it as it is, right?
I would.
It's good to discuss.
Something to think about.
Good discussion. Any other questions? Semi-annual review of closed session minutes and destruction of audio tapes more than 18 months old.
So in front of you, you have closed session minutes from the past, and you can look at those. I made recommendations which one to open and close. You can agree, disagree, but they are in the packet. Please bring the packet back next week. So we can. Generally, it's if students are named or personnel issues that are unresolved or could potentially open us up for liability, revealing any protected information. Most of them in this last year were teacher negotiations, so those are up there. Yay.
All right. Tax levy.
Any questions on the tax levy?
How did the meeting go?
The meeting on Monday was very informative. So we had 5 people attend outside of Carly and myself. 4 were from the Briargate subdivision, and they're really great. They've been several of them have been to other sessions, financial sessions, and I met with them last year. They're in a tough spot because their taxes are really high, and they were not aware of that when they moved in. And so paying those kinds of taxes on fixed incomes is pretty tough. So I understand, you know, they can't sell their house for what they paid for it at this point. It will take some time for the market to adjust and the taxes to adjust, and it's just a difficult spot, and that's the reality of how Illinois has decided to tax people. Agree with it necessarily, it's not great, but it's what we have, so. There we are, and until something changes. Kind of stuck, and they understand it. They don't like it, but they understand it at least. I explained to them about the property tax relief grant that we did apply for it. I don't know if I said that at the last meeting or in one of the notes. So we did apply again. We apply every year for the property tax relief grant, which is one of the best things the state has done. My estimation as far as policy that actually does what it intends to do. So it's been great. along with the evidence-based funding, which is a huge win for Illinois students, but, that was a big impact. I don't think we're gonna get it this year again. We're, did the calculations, they give up 50 million toward that, and we're
Just missing.
just outside of 50 million, so 50 million gets down to 34 school districts and like 37. 39. That's all I have for the tax levy.
Briargate's also in Grace Lake North, right? So,
Correct.
Yes. They
Get
passed
hit
that.
pretty
that's
hard.
up.
Yeah, that's a tough spot to be.
At least you're talking to them, not ignoring them. I mean, even though it is what it is, it's still,
It's not gonna change
if
if
you shun them, at least
I want them to know what
keep the
they're,
dialogue open.
yeah, and I want them to see what they're paying for too.
Mhm.
You know, this great school and
Yeah, I think it's an awareness of where that is going. I think.
a little bit.
A little bit, yeah,
Yeah.
not a lot, I know that, but like
Still
at least
sucks, but-
understanding where it's going.
Yeah, and they're appreciative of that. And they want to support kids. They're just the realities of their life. It's,
Yeah, absolutely.
whoa, this is huge. But we'll continue to meet with them, talk with them. There's really, I don't know if there's anything we can do and carve outs, and I explained the problem is like in my neighborhood, and I'm sure your neighborhoods on either side of us, we have people who don't have kids in the district. One couple never had kids in the district and have paid the tax all the years. Why would Briargate get a special reduction versus those families? And the one point that they brought up that I can understand this time was, well, we can't sell our house to a family. So we're limited in who can buy our house, and we can't sell it to a family with students in it. So
It's still their choice to buy the house.
Yeah, it does go back to that.
I agree, and they understand. It's. But that was one point. They said, hey, we're never gonna provide any students for your school district, and we're paying all these taxes. You're getting $500,000 more a year just in our subdivision without us paying. I said, yes, thank you, and we need those.
How old do you have to be to live there?
55.
I'm 58 and I have 2 students in the district, so that argument doesn't go away. That argument's gone.
Could move into Briargate.
I don't think you can move into.
You cannot have
You can't
kids
move
there.
there.
No kids. Yeah, which is also, there's a bigger person, I have a little bit of challenge with 55 and older communities is that maybe that's great for people who are 55 and older. Is that good overall for our community in general to isolate us into different pods? I don't know. I don't know if that's the best thing either long term. It's great for them for now. I understand it. But I'm not sure that makes for a healthy community either. Long term. Goal up. So you would humor me a little bit. Try and pull up. The quick goal update for us. So we set out some goals for the board and the district in August. And just a little bit of a review of where we're at. Okay, we, by we, I mean the administrative team have been talking a lot about goals, talking a lot about where we want to go with our district and what does it mean to be an exceptional school? We've had conversations about do we want to be a top-notch school? Do we want to be a premier school? What do we want to, what are we really shooting for that's like an elevator type speech? Well, we've landed for now on the word exceptional. And exceptional is not exclusive. It's an inclusive term first, so all schools, I think, could be exceptional in different ways. That what does that mean at Milburn, and what does that mean for us? So in here, I just put a link and I'll forward this to the board on what we went through last year in our focus groups and what the feedback we got from those focus groups and from parents, and did an AI based on all the, I just typed in all of their comments and it spit out a nice little summary of what Milburn is. So that's a nice introduction. So if we're going to be exceptional schools, we talked about 3 different goal areas. We have academics, we have culture and climate, and we have facilities and finance. Those are the 3 big umbrellas. Really, we're talking about academics and operations are 2 big pushes that we operate under. We have the business office and we have academics. That's what we're here for at those 2 operations, and overarching all of that, kind of the umbrella under that is culture and climate. That's how we operate, how we interact, how we do things. So exceptional academics. I'll try and buzz through this, and if you have any questions, let me know. We are focused on reading and math for academic goals. This year specifically on math curriculum implementation, the new one that we purchased last year after we went through the review, continue to improve the PLC process. That's professional learning communities, which is how we do things. It's not the goal in and of itself. Curriculum review of science and social studies for content. We're in the cycle, in the middle of the cycle, and probably picking that up to the next level after we get math implemented, and then improving instructional practices. So how do we teach and making that go? Well, we have to have metrics. So our first key performance indicator on metrics, this is on NWEA. This is the percentage of students who are meeting their goals based on a conditional growth index. So this is what the company spits out after we take the MAP test in the fall and the spring. They say, okay, if I had a 200 was my RIT score, all those kids with a 200 should have moved up to a 210 by the spring. And so if I hit a 207, I get a certain number of points. If I hit a 215, I get a certain number of points. That's a conditional growth index. It's your growth based on where you started. So when we look at math last year, really, really high. We're in the 72nd percentile, somewhere in there. And moving up in the last 3 years on math. When you look at ELA, we're kind of in that 50th percentile, which is good. It's okay, but is that where we want to be, and would that be exceptional performance for our students and our district and our environment? Probably going to say no. I think we're shooting more for, our goal this year is for us to hit the 60th percentile growth in reading and in math. Because if kids are growing, they're going to achieve, they're going to learn. That's just evidence of things are going. So that's on math. That's where we're at currently. And then on the Illinois Assessment of Readiness, that's our state test. They do the same kind of thing with growth. This is not an achievement score. This doesn't mean, the bar is set at 67 and how many kids can jump over that 67. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about anybody, if you're at a 5, a 10, 20, and you're moving up, that's good and you get credit for that. So again, we're hovering around the 50th percentile. We made it up to the 58th percentile 1 year in math on the IAR. And that is okay, but probably not where we want to be if we're going to consider ourselves excellent. Our goal is to get consistently above the 60th percentile for growth in IR. That's what we're shooting for. We think we can do that with solid curriculum. So we need to give our students and teachers the resources they need to get there. And so, as part of that conversation has been our math implementation. The math implementation is going well. We had a meeting last week with our district math committee. The general idea is that kids are learning. It is tougher because they have to explain what they're doing. So if we're talking about multiplication, we're asking kids, okay, don't just give me 6 times 6. Give me what is happening with that 6 times 6? Can you model that out? Can you go 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6? That's one model that they can use so that they're have a deeper understanding of it. And they have to be able to teach it to a friend. And that's where it gets tough. They have to talk it. It's math speak. And teachers are struggling with that a little bit because it's new and it's different and it takes more time. But they're seeing some slowly starting to change and kids starting to get it and come through. So it'll be interesting as we go through this in the next couple of years to see those changes. And some of the teachers that implemented this last year or piloted it, not implemented, piloted it last year, those kids that were in the pilot are able to pick this up a lot quicker. They're noticing that. So
I hope we stay with it, because that not only just helps them in math, it helps them with communicating with other students, public speaking, everything. So even if it's a challenge, I hope we're not let that go by the wayside.
yeah,
And that's a good way to learn something, is to teach somebody, so.
yeah, if you have to teach it and show it to somebody else, then they really, really, really know it.
I like
And
it.
that's what we're going for, but it is frustrating. It's challenging. Trying the new standards, part of the requirements are productive struggle, trying to get that perseverance through problems, because kids will give up on it.
Mhm.
I know my kids, especially the kids who school comes easy to, they just know it. What do you mean you have to tell you? 6 times 6 is 36.
Hard to convey it, so.
Oh, real hard for them. They just know it. So to get them to step back and go into that is the challenge. Also, it's time, it takes more time.
Right.
So teachers are having to fit it in. So some things are going well. Some of our challenges have been technology with the Waggle program. The Waggle is the technology piece where the kids can go on it. If you're familiar with Alex, that's replacing the Alex. It's a supplemental program that's dynamic, so it matches their levels and kind of plugs their holes and figures out what they need. But there's been some challenges with the technology getting that going. It's a newer program to the company. So we're sort of guinea pigs. I mean, it's just a struggle. It's been a lot. So that's frustrating when it doesn't work. But we're getting there, and hopefully that will help us. Any questions on that? I talked a little bit about PLCs. Professional learning communities is a process. It's not the end goal. It's having conversations with teachers as a professional learning community about what's working and what we want our kids to do. So I'm actually gonna skip ahead because it's these questions here. What would make Milburn an exceptional district? Is Milburn an exceptional district? How do we know when we are exceptional? What will we do if we are exceptional or not exceptional? So same questions that teachers are asking. They're, okay, what do we want our kids to know and be able to do? Where's that line, that exceptional line in classroom for math, for example? What do we want them to know and be able to do? How do we know if they know how to do it? So how are we gonna measure if they can do it? And then okay, if they don't know, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna reteach it? What are our thoughts? And then again, if they do already know it, then what are we gonna do to enhance their education? So it's just that process and getting that down, it's a challenge, it's all ongoing. And some districts I know of, who I would consider to be exceptional district, have been in that process for 20 years, they're still working on it and refining it to some degree.
Are we defining this solely based on scores, test scores and all?
You can
Because-
define it however you want.
Well, that's one of the issues, right? Because exceptional is totally subjective. So like if we say, hey, it's gotta be the math and it's got the, IAR. Then we can agree, okay, these are the levels we need to achieve, and then PLCs can work towards those levels. But if we say this nebulous exceptionality type of thing. So I think it's probably one of the first steps is hammer that out, figure out what we really need. And
Get
like,
measurables.
You gotta have something that's measurable that everybody can buy in on. Not just say, oh, we're all exceptional, like that's not gonna work, So I think we could define that would be excellent. In whatever that means compared to other schools, test scores, et cetera. How they do in high school, post, K-8.
Are we, so
I would argue that being exceptional is controlling everything we can to get an exemplary status from ISB. Such as going towards the test scores, things like that, but where we lost our points were things on like student attendance. So we can't necessarily force kids not to be sick, but we can, have a lot of control over the curriculum and their student achievement. So we got that commendable rating, which, but it doesn't mean we weren't striving for exemplary thing. I would argue the things we had control over, we were exceptional. And I think that could be a frame of reference to define it.
I agree. I think to that point, I think if we do the right things academically, we're also gonna get there. So a lot of the points, most of the points are for growth that on the Illinois Assessment of Readiness, that's a huge chunk of that score. And if we're in the 50th percentile, we're not gonna be exemplary school for growth. We've got to get above the 60th percentile to get into that exemplary status consistently across grade levels. We have grade levels. Do that. And it's tough. It's a lot of work, hard. But I think we can. We definitely have the ability to do. We've got some great staff members here, great teachers who are dedicated to teaching. I think part of it has been the curriculum in math. And when we went to the curriculum that we had, it was because the standards changed and it was a little bit of a wild west because some teachers had different ideas about what to meet the new standards. Then we went to a curriculum that went well for a while. And then it started to leak again as far as that, and this math curriculum didn't match the new standards on the IAR assessment. So here we go, we gotta get better. So unless we give our staff the tools that they need, pretty tough to say. Go figure it out. It's not fair. So, thank you, board, for giving us the math curriculum.
Were you gonna go more into PLCs or?
Nope.
Suzanne, sorry to put you on the spot. Do you have any input from the teachers on their opinions toward PLCs? I've heard from both sides that some people think it's just more meetings they have to go to. Some people think it's great to be able to converse with others. Have you had any feedback from?
Yeah, for the most part, I mean, we're all at that same goal. We all have that same goal. And the point of PLCs is getting together, talking about students and figuring out what we can do either in our teams as a school and looking at the kids as our kids, not just, you know, in our four walls, our 22 students. All of these students, all 750 are our kids. And I think that's been a change over the last 5-7 years that we're all taking this on and we're moving forward with that. So I think having that common goal is huge. People are on board. We want to be exceptional. We want to work in exceptional school.
Because exceptional school means more than just scores,
Right.
like Peter would say. Is it experiences? So we've talked on our team about experiences like Camp Timberley, exceptional experience, 24-hour challenge, exceptional experience. Springfield, exceptional experience. What differentiates us from districts around us? Our showcase that we do in the winterish here, elementary, exceptional experience for kids and our parents. What are those things that we're doing? Well, let's celebrate those. And then let's say, okay, what else we need? But not that we can do everything. We can't be everything for everybody. Just can't. But what makes us exceptional? What are we gonna stick our flag in and say, this is exceptional? So yes, I would like to hear from board and community always to say, okay, let's have that conversation and have those discussions. I think achievement, I don't think we can call ourselves an exceptional district without being in the top 5 in the county for achievement. Top 5 school districts. That's a lot. It's pretty high standard, but we've actually been there. And by 8th grade, not by 3rd grade. We gotta have a little time.
Not completely on topic, but the question, if I missed it in past weeks, our 8th graders went to the high school and took,
PSAT,
yeah,
PSAT, yeah.
do we compare those to other districts or
We don't
that's,
get those.
so they just tell them how they do and then that's that.
We don't.
So
Milburn
they just
doesn't
go
see
take a
them.
test and then we don't really. So what's the purpose of that then? Just to get used to a format like that?
No, it's for the high school to determine their growth.
Okay, so that's for the high school district.
They look at it like freshman year and then they can sort of pace them out with where the growth should be for the SAT and all that stuff.
Okay, then I assume that even that everybody took it at Lakes, but even for the ones going to other high schools, they just kind of share that with them.
No, not everybody took it at Lakes.
No.
Oh, I thought everyone. went to
No,
Lakes.
some went to
Okay.
Grays Lake North.
Okay, so
and
we
some went
did
to-
send them to the school they would be going to.
Yep.
So all that is for is helping the high school place them. It's not,
Correct.
it's not how did we do?
Nope.
And
Okay.
students have that opportunity in sophomore year to retake it again to help them practice for the SAT or ACT if they would like. To
Are they,
check their
are
growth
they
areas.
moving now to ACTs again?
Yes.
Yeah, Illinois.
Illinois is
Bought
more
it.
ACT, yeah.
Yeah. This was around when I took it, so.
Any other questions?
So I will send this to you, board. I know we're running a little long here, so I did this for exceptional culture, just a few updates. Community connections was part of that we talked about doing the parent universities and then facilities and finance. We've got a long way to go on our facilities. There's $20 million that needs to be done in the next 10 years-ish. And maybe we can do it for less, I don't know, but we've had 2 people, our architect and then a performance contracting firm come and do a pretty thorough investigation of our buildings and pointed out some things that are like, if you don't address that, it's going to start to present a problem and you're gonna start taking on water. So things like the roof and the bricks, tuck pointing, we're gonna have to address sooner than later. The good news is most of our roof is gonna be fine and there's some good solutions, better than what there used to be, so that's great, but it's still gonna be pretty expensive. And then along with some of those projects, if we can offset it with energy savings. With solar or like replacing all these bulbs, which if after 2026, you won't be able to buy anymore. So all of these, we are going to LED. And that will help save lots of energy. Because there's a lot, you just look in this. These banks of lights, there's a lot of lights in these buildings, and so. Pretty good.
We did something.
Oh yeah, we've done roofs.
We've done a lot.
There's a lot of roofs. We did the 1961 roof and we did the 1968 roof and we did the 1990, no, we didn't do the 96 roof. We did the 88 roof, most of them. But not the 88 gym. Or was it the 68? Gym? I don't know which, it's the East Gym. It's been repaired many times, including this fall for $16,000. It's getting expensive to repair too. Anyhow, and it's so overwhelming and complicated because you get down to the granular detail of the carpet here. And okay, what's a priority? Well, this carpet's ugly. It's worn. It's beyond its expected life, but how do you prioritize that with other things? And going into aesthetics, which is good because you want the kids to come into a space that's nice and pleasant, which this space is and will be, especially when we get the new furniture and the new carpet. Versus the rooftop unit that no one sees, but if it fails, people are gonna get pretty cold. So we're just talking through all that. And the other part of it is just like our houses. So in our houses that are, my house is about 25 years old, kind of like these buildings, you're going, okay, furnace, air conditioner, and then the refrigerator, probably on the third refrigerator, I don't know. Laundry machine, which one's gonna go first? And you've got to save up for that. And you don't know, well, if I replace them too soon, then I've lost money. So I don't want to go too soon, but if I go too late, it's going to cause damage. It's weighing those risk reward kind of things. I like to stretch it as long as I can because I'm very frugal and don't like to spend money on that stuff. But we can't go too. So that's where we're at with facilities and finance. We'll continue to keep updated as we get information and nurse. So it took a little bit longer. That's where we're at.
All right. So if we're good with that, let's go to MLK.
Okay, there's a meeting this Thursday night, if anybody's interested. I think it's at 6 o'clock. It's planned for the MFK day in January. To get more people interested and make it a great experience for our kids. I'll just go right into the Veterans Day celebration today at school, which we had 30 veterans, I think, come in and 30-ish and with their parents or kids and the grandpas and grandmas and aunts and uncles. It was great event. Very, very good. Got to talk a little bit about the armed forces in the gym and get the kids together. So wonderful event today as well.
Okay, future. SMPG contract.
So this will be in the business office report as well, but school maintenance project grant, we need to approve that next Monday, so that'll be on there. We get 50,000 from the state as long as we spend 100. So that 100,000 is going to be spent on this carpet, the gym floor at the other school, which must get done, or we're going to be replacing the wood instead of just resurfacing. Doors at the other building and possibly the gym floor in here. Oh, the office in the main office, because it gets a lot of traffic and needs to be redone carpet
At the middle school?
at the middle school. Yep.
Excellent.
and the tax levy coming out.
Okay. Superintendent report.
Reported on Veterans Day. We have conferences on Thursday and Friday, so I'll see many of you again on Thursday and Friday.
Those are only during the school day, right?
Incorrect.
Oh, okay,
I have one at 5 o'clock.
all right.
We go till about 7-ish on Thursday, Thursday night, 7-ish, and then during school day. Friday.
Awesome.
That's it.
Business office, she escaped again,
Yeah, what happened?
like 2 for 3.
Come to this. She's, Okay, so let me pull up the business office report here. Which will be pretty straightforward. So on 10/28, we had the first reading of the levy. Today, we approved the truth and taxation statement because it is needed. Tomorrow or Wednesday, we will post the notice to the public hearing. Post it on our website, so when you open up our website, it'll pop right at you. Truth and taxation, can't miss it. Then we'll publish it in the newspaper, and then December 16th, we will have our hearing. So before our board meeting on that day, we'll have the truth and taxation hearing. Then we adopt the levy at that meeting. And then we'll file it and be done for this year, and then we start budgeting again in detail for next year. Again, we talked about school maintenance project grant.
Got it from the business office.
That's it.
All right, board report.
We did, my son did the 8th grade Springfield trip. I'm shocked how much he liked it. He actually loved it.
Yeah.
It's really not his thing. And I'm glad we do it. And well, I'm not gonna put it on a future agenda for board yet, so I'll advocate for it as a parent and talk to some other people first. Og says Washington DC. I'm wondering why we don't. I'm guessing there's some reasons with maybe teacher resources, maybe money, I'm not sure. But if Springfield was fantastic, I'm guessing Washington would even be more fantastic. Do you know why we don't do something like that?
Yeah, well,
Um,
no, well, the school district would not, but we, Mr. Schroeder used to do it with a couple of other teachers. And maybe they'll do it again.
Is it resources then? I mean, if Og's.
It's parents' resources. It's a very expensive trip.
Mhm.
So you're flying out there for 3 days and you see a lot. It's a great way to see.
I went
DC
on
in a
it
hurry.
at Og's when I went to Og's.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah. We don't do it as a class trip. It's outside of the school year. It's at the school day, so it's run by another company. So that Milburn doesn't retain that liability. It's, hey, Mr. Schroeder organizes it, or another teacher could organize it and take it on, and it's through educational tours or similar company.
So we've done it in the past.
Mhm.
But just not as a school.
We've never done it as a school. I don't know if Og's does either.
Cause they get quite a bit of participation in that, I think,
They
even
might.
though it is very expensive.
It's very expensive.
So, anyway, yeah. He loved the 8th grade trip, and I'm glad we do that, at least that was fantastic.
No, the DC trip is a great trip for kids too.
My husband participated today in the Veterans Day at elementary, so he loved it. He had a lot of fun. He loves the cookies that you guys supply. I don't know what that's about, but he was like, that is a highlight. He also really enjoyed talking to our son's 2nd grade class about stories about the Marine Corps. Of course, there was only certain stories he could tell. I was very adamant about which stories did you tell. But yeah, it was really great. He really enjoys it. And it's just fun that you guys do that as a school. So I greatly appreciate it as a military wife who was with him during those times. So Thank you.
Anything else? All right,
We have the Triple I conference coming up.
Yep.
So Veronica didn't have the packets. She has the packets ready. They'll give them to you next week since she said then you don't have to hang on to them for an extra week.
yes.
Planning on yeah, meeting up on Friday at the general session and as we typically do and go from there.
All right. Let's discuss. Closed session. I need a motion to go to closed session to discuss item 1. The appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or specific volunteers of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee, a specific individual who serves as an independent contractor in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or a volunteer of the public body, or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. However, a meeting to consider an increase in compensation to a specific employee of a public body that is subject to the Local Government Wage Increase Transparency Act may not be closed and shall be open to the public and posted and held in accordance with this Act 5 ILCS 120-2C1.
So move.
Second.
Call the roll.
Don Lorenzen,
Yes.
Brendan Murphy,
Yes.
Peter Peccariti,
Yes.
Jillian Phelps,
Yes.
John Ruggles.
Yes.
Fred Skyrum,
Yes.
and Lisa Wooster.
Yes.
Okay, we're not gonna be taking any action, so we're going to shut down the internet stream and we'll come back and adjourn the meeting when we're done. Thank you.
Jillian, did he go to the